Welcome back, Truth Seeker. This live stream is going to be short and sweet. Today, Friday, September 29th, 2023, it's reported that Dianne Feinstein, the Jewish senator out of California, is dead. And we've talked about this date and what it has to do with Judaism every single year that I've been here. The date is 9/29. The Jewish section of the Bible, the Old Testament, is 929 chapters. And in Jewish Gematria, United States of America equals 929. And if you got time, watch a Jewish documentary called Four Blood Moons. In that documentary, they talk about how there never would have been a United States of America without the help of Judaism, because it was the Jewish bankers who financed the nation. And of course, Gematria is the Jewish practice of coding numbers into words that is so paramount to everything that's going on in this nation every single day, as we've been proving in spades, literally every single day for a decade straight. And again, you could rewind for 10 years of videos and see that I'm talking about the same thing every year on 9/29. So, Dianne Feinstein, what age did she die at? She died at age 90. What's Holy Bible equal in Gematria? 90. And like I've said a million times, the Jesuits who run this nation, they use the Bible like it's a playbook. That's why September 11th happened on the 11th day of the 9th month, where in the Holy Bible, the Tower of Babel that divides the world, that story ends in Genesis 11:9. And remember, they gave us the story of the dancing Israelis and how they were sent back to Israel. But understand, it's not Israel that runs the nation. It's the Jesuits, and it's the Jesuits that run Israel as well. And if you don't know who the Jesuits are, they're a Catholic-Jewish alliance that was formed during the time of the Protestant Reformation. And again, if you don't know about the history of Martin Luther and all that, you need to look it up. It has to do with why Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 95th day of the year. Of course, Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. But this is no accident that you get this news to start this day. And if you read the story, she died late last night, so she didn't die on September 29th, but all the news breaks about her death on this day. And as for her dying last night, September 28th, that's the day leaving 94 days left in the year, which is another very special number. To the Roman Catholic Church, again, the Jesuits are a Catholic-Jewish alliance. Roman Catholic Church 94, lots of big-time rituals with the number 94. Super famous person that's Jewish that a lot of people don't realize is Jewish because he doesn't talk about his religion is Bill Gates. And think about Bill Gates. In 94, he gets married on the first day of the year. In 94, he becomes the most famous man in Seattle after Kurt Cobain dies 94 days after his wedding. And then his mom died in that year. And then during the pandemic, his father died at age 94. And let's not forget he declared a decade of vaccines on his 94th day of his age, a decade before COVID, which started in his city after China, which goes with the Event 201 simulation that he co-hosted, where only the CDC of China and the U.S. participated. But anyway, the point is where these numbers come from and why they're used so ritualistically. So Dianne Feinstein, again, 929 chapters in the Old Testament, United States of America, 929 in Jewish Gematria. And the ciphers we typically talk about, if you just write out United States and if you write out Old Testament, they equal the exact same thing. United States, Old Testament. Think about that. How many courthouses have the 10 Commandments there? Again, that's from the Old Testament. So you start to really think about things, you start to realize how Jewish the nation is. And the big part of this story is how Governor Gavin Newsom, who's a Jesuit, who speaks in code all the time, how he's going to appoint a black woman to replace Dianne Feinstein. Remember Joe Biden, who's also Jesuit educated like Gavin Newsom, how important it was for him to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. And then he got Ketanji Brown Jackson as the 116th Supreme Court Justice when African American equals 116, and so does Jackson. And then Deion Sanders left Jackson State. Now he's participating in the scripted rituals in college football, which is controlled by the same cabal. But Gavin Newsom, the thing about old Gavin, who went to University of Santa Clara, again, the Bay Area has two Jesuit schools, University of San Francisco and Santa Clara. That's why the 49ers now play up in Santa Clara, San Francisco 49ers. But actually, hold on. Before I go to the Gavin Newsom piece, let me finish something that needs to be said about Dianne Feinstein. So she died 14 weeks after her birthday. The word dead is 14. You could also say she died on her 99th day of her age. And that's really interesting because, again, this nation was named on September 9th, 9/9/1776. In Gematria, United States of America is 99 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. And the name United States of America is 132 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. 99, 132. And the naming of the country came 132 days from the establishment of the Illuminati, which was May 1st, 1776. And who founded the Illuminati? A Jewish man, Adam Weishaupt, who was a Jesuit. It's funny how people go around making fun of things like, ooh, Illuminati. It's like, yeah, it's a real thing. It was established just before the country was. 64 days before the country was, in fact, like these spaces on a chessboard, like how these people are making moves every day by a code that most people don't have a clue about. But anyway, 99 and 132. The gematria of United States of America is 99 and 132. And of course, in the White House, there's 132 rooms. Other words that equal 132 are Roman Catholic and Catholic Church. And another name you can add onto that list is Antonin Scalia. Remember when he was found dead with a pillow over his head on 13/2 like 132? If you run his name in reverse, Antonin Scalia, it equals 219, also like Roman Catholic. And that's the day his body was on display at the Supreme Court, February 19th, after his 13/2 death. Just to make a point. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, remember how they did her? She died 187 days after her birthday on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. She was the Jewish Supreme Court Justice. 187, number of the Society of Jesus, also homicide code. So anyway, Gavin Slick Willie, he's about to turn 56 years old. Gavin Newsom, again, the Jesuit governor of California, who was the first governor to lock down his state for COVID. And his exact quote when he locked down California was, 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. And then you had a million more 56 rituals by all the Jesuit leaders across the nation and across the world. Even Boris Johnson saying they got the UK strain that's 56% more infectious. Of course, in Gematria, we just said Society of Jesus is 187, the big way. The small way, it's 56. And Washington, D.C. is the same thing. Washington, D.C. is 187, the big way, 56, small way. But Gavin Newsom, 56, like Society of Jesus, like coronavirus, like COVID vaccine, like Anthony Fauci, who again is also Jesuit educated. So was Cuomo in New York, who was the 56th governor of the state. He went to Fordham like Donald Trump, who's also Jesuit educated, and COVID was declared 56 years after his Jesuit education began at Fordham in 2020. So anyway, this happens right before Gavin Newsom turns 56, and he's saying he's going to appoint a black woman. Remember, Black Lives Matter equals 56. A lot of rituals with Black Lives Matter in 56. And again, it's because it's Jesuit controlled, just like how the Black Panthers were. Thus why all the original Black Panther meetings were in Catholic churches in the Bay Area. But from Gavin's last birthday to Dianne Feinstein's death, 353 days after his last birthday, the 71st prime number. I forgot to put the screenshot up here of Gavin, but his birthday is October 10th. He'll turn 56 on October 10th. So Dianne died 353 days after his last birthday, which is the 71st prime number. The word Catholic is 71. Again, he's a Jesuit. The Jesuits served the Roman Catholic Pope. Don't forget the word Pope equals 52, like how we're on the 52-week calendar named after the Pope. But, yeah, Gavin Newsom's Jesuit education concluded in 89 at Santa Clara, so that was 34 years ago. Big murder number. I wonder who else could be in jeopardy who's closely connected to Gavin. Of course, Dianne and him share a lot of politics. They both got started in San Francisco, which is named after St. Francis of Assisi, who created the Franciscans, which was the precursor to the Jesuits. That's part of the reason Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, is named Pope Francis. Again, he's also named after St. Francis of Assisi, but at the same time, the Jesuits were credited in France. That's why Pope Francis the other day was speaking in France on the 266th day of the year as the 266th Pope. He once upon a time did the same thing in Washington, D.C. back in 2015. D.C.'s always been the Jesuit stronghold. And again, for people who don't know U.S. history, the capital wasn't always in D.C. It used to be in Philadelphia. My guess is that when it moved to D.C., that's the same time the Jesuits took over the nation, because that's where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to America to chase down the people who were trying to create a new nation, escaping the tyranny of Europe. And that's the amazing thing about Americans. They don't even know history. They don't know anything about anything, really. All they know is about sports games and consumerism and entertainment. And they don't realize that a big part of the reason this nation was founded is because the people who came over here from Europe were trying to escape the rulership of Europe, and the government of Europe at the time was the Catholic Church. I'd encourage everyone to look into the conversations and the letters of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, and about how concerned they were what would happen to the United States when the Jesuits came out of suppression. Again, the Jesuits were suppressed by the Pope at the time this nation was being founded. But it's not an accident that those two guys died together on the same day, July 4th, 1826. July 4th, 1826. And, you think about that, that's the 50th birthday of America, right? America equals 50, the land of 50 states. But they both died on the same day. And it goes down in history as a coincidence. And then, again, Monroe died on July 4th, 1,826 days later. So 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died on July 4th. And again, they tell us these things in school, but they kind of teach us to think of it as just a coincidence. But think about how improbable that is. A 1 in 365 chance to die on July 4th, unless it's a leap year, then it's a 1 in 366 chance. So what are the odds that 3 out of the first 5 presidents would die on that day? And again, in Gematria, Jewish equals 74, Gematria equals 74, English equals 74, occult equals 74, Masonic equals 74, Masonry is Judaism for the Gentile. The Jesuits created modern Freemasonry in London. London equals 74. Killing equals 74. Stabbing equals 74. We're on the calendar named after a pope, where the 74th day of the year is to remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing. The Ides of March. Ides of March has that Gematria of 56, like Society of Jesus, like how this is synced up with Gavin's upcoming 56th birthday. But, again, it's no accident that Dianne Feinstein, who's been reported in ill health for a long time, no one's shocked about today's news because she's been on her deathbed for a long time, just like how Jimmy Carter, they've been telling you all year, he's about to die. He's going to turn 99, Jimmy Carter, on October 1st, if he makes it. But, again, it's just a reminder who runs the nation. The people that work by the code every single day. That's all biblical. And, again, you guys, had people caught on to what I was educating about, back in 2013, 2014, 2015. Might be living in a different world right now. Might have been able to avoid the whole COVID scam. Remember who told you in 2020 really bad shit was coming if the world didn't wake up? How did I know that? Because, again, I know how these people work in a 19-year cycle. The Jewish calendar's on a 19-year cycle. 9/11, 19 hijackers. What happened 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers? They said the worst thing in the world since it. COVID-19. Again, it's not an accident, you guys. These are all agendas, and look at what's achieved with the agendas. We've lost rights and liberties from 9/11 and COVID-19. A lot of power and wealth was taken from the middle class with both of those things. A lot of lives taken. It's all about power, control, money, and people got to catch on to who's doing it. So we're a lot less free than we were before 9/11. We now live in a surveillance state where you got mergers with big tech, big government, and people love it, right? They're buying the listening devices to put in their house so they can talk to make their life so much easier. Hey Alexa, do this for me. Do you really want to buy a device from these companies that are partnered with the CIA and running all their cloud and security stuff? You guys, it's so obvious what America's becoming. And don't forget, right after 9/11, or not right after 9/11, right before 9/11, right before 9/11, remember what happened? We are all starting to get cell phones, right? These smartphones weren't out yet, but we were all starting to get cell phones. And then next thing you know, boom, 9/11, Patriot Act, and all of a sudden all these new laws for the phones that have cameras and listening devices on them, and all of a sudden everybody has the rights to be collecting everyone's data and information and putting it in big, what do they call them, databases. This is the nation we're living in. And it's been executed just like this. Oh, by the way, here, this Jewish gematria cipher, since we're talking 9/11, in case you're new here and you don't know a lot about the old Jewish gematria cipher, Derek, who built the gematria calculator, he's recently renamed all the ciphers, which I don't know why he did that. He renamed Jewish gematria Latin gematria, which is not its name. Derek is Jewish, though, so he might have felt personal about that. But, again, he can call it whatever he wants to. It's still the same thing. It's Jewish gematria. Tisha B'Av is the Jewish day to remember the destruction of the two temples. So I just want you to think about that in light of the two towers that came down on 9/11. And, think about it with Jewish Dianne Feinstein, announced dead today on 9/29, going with the 929 chapters in the Old Testament. Like we said, Genesis 11:9, where the Tower of Babel story ends. And remember they called the 9/11 hijackers jihadists. Jihadists, 9/11. And what's crazy is in this cipher, some things like Al-Qaeda terrorist attack. 9/11, right? So, again, we don't always talk about Jewish gematria, but it is a very relevant cipher. And, something that comes up a lot that we do talk about in this cipher is death and homicide are both 118. A lot of deaths connected to that number, including Tupac, whose death anniversary just passed, and many more. But, maybe the ADL should look into those Jesuits. I think they've claimed a lot of Jewish lives by the code over the years. And that lady who likes to write the articles about me over in Israel says I've ruined the topic of gematria. She says now when you search that, all that comes up is this asshole Zachary K. Hubbard. Hey, maybe write to Dianne Feinstein's family what an asshole I am, because I don't think anyone else is going to speak up for her murder. So we'll leave it there for now. And shout out to congrats to the winners. I'll look into that Deion Sanders story. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Till next time.